Welcome to the most authoritative hour on TV. It's The Pulse. We're live from our studios in Kokomlimle on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Remember, we're your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. This afternoon, we're live in Parliament where Special Prosecutor nominee Kaaka Jabing has been pledging to make corruption a costly activity for public officials if given the nod. We have details of how he intends to do this as he calls for a review of Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution to prevent conflict of interest.
Or not even a claim to that. But I am going to make corruption very costly. Very, very costly to engage in.
Also this afternoon, as the newly appointed acting IGP, Dr. George Ekufudampare, gets to take up his new role, there's been show of confidence, his team leadership spirit and affability, which many say will enable him excel as a substantive IGP. We have the testimony of a retired superintendent of police and former executive secretary to former IGP, Asante Apetu. And also coming up in this bulletin, we have is Asokwa District Court in the Ashanti region adjourns to August 12, the case in which 3 suspects are standing trial over the killing of social activist Ibrahim Mohammed in Ejura. We'll bring you the very latest on The Pulse. The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Dignilu Affordable Safe Sanitation. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Remember, we are also streaming live on YouTube and all our social media handles. Tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is Denana Aisha. Always a pleasure to host you. Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin with Special Prosecutor nominee Kaaka Jabing, who says he will make corruption a costly activity for public officials if he is given the nod. He says he will roll out a pressure for progress initiative that will review public sector agencies and publish corruption perception index ranking them. He says he will create 2 more divisions at the office.
My strategy is that I'm not naive to assume that I'm coming to stop corruption. There is no way I can stop corruption. God himself will not even a claim to that. But I am going to make corruption very costly. Very, very costly to engage in terms of conflict of interest.
Jama, he has just said that he'll make corruption costly, high-risk activity. How do you intend to work that?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Honorable Chair. First, I'm going to institute what I call pressure for progress. And in this quest, there will be a systemic review of all public agencies.
What was the word you...
I said I have termed it pressure for progress.
Pressure for progress.
Yes.
Very well. I thought it was a Latin word you...
No.
spoke. I didn't get it out.
I'm going to institute systemic reviews of public sector institutions and the development of integrity plans. And here, this is what I intend to do. Why can't we have our own corruption perceptions index, for instance? Why can't I rank public sector agencies against each other? And at the end of the year, publicize the results as to which institution is performing well and which institution is not performing well. In that quest, if you are head of an institution and persistently your institution is drawing the short straw in terms of the perception of corruption from the point of view of experts, from the point of view of business people, you will set up. Because
Special Prosecutor, you're aware that you are being appointed to operate a particular law. Where will you draw your authority to be publishing perception, corruption, or corruption perception index of agencies? Where under the law will you have that your authority from?
Now, which the Act empowers me, if I'm given the nod by this House, to institutionalize risk assessment in respect of public agencies. And in doing risk assessment in terms of the activities of public sector agencies, it is a form of institutionalization of that systemic review of their activities. The Act also empowers me periodically, if I'm given the nod, to publish the activities of the OSP and the operations engaged in. In line with this, it is an offshoot of the mandate of the OSP that I could go ahead after the process of risk assessment, integrity of every public sector agency, to then come out with my results as to who is doing well and who is not doing well. It is an offshoot of that mandate.
Are you done with answering
No,
your question?
I'm not done.
Continue with that one, and other members will come in.
From the Act, Honorable Chair, 4 divisions have been created therein: finance and administration, prosecutions, investigations, asset recovery and management. I intend to create 2 more divisions to give more teeth to the OSP office if given the nod. The Act itself envisages that the OSP can create more divisions if it so desires. And I'll be adding 2 divisions. One, a strategy and research division.
Chairman, just hold it there. I'm not interjecting. Go to section 19 of your Act and make appropriate references for our purposes. You are just special prosecutor. The law assumes that you have a board. And in answering the question as Chairman posed it, the mandate is not just yours. So reference the board for our purposes, for our record. You only can create additional divisions with the concurrence of the board. Is that not legally accurate? Am I not accurate?
It is, Honorable Chair. I believe, my apologies, but I believe I said the OSP. So when I said the OSP, it wasn't in reference to a person but the office. So the aggregate of the office, including the board. That is the context in which I placed it.
Let's cross over to Parliament where the vetting has ended and speak with our man, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, who's been monitoring events for us. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, what more can you tell us about the vetting of Kisie Japan prosecutor nominee, special prosecutor nominee?
To a close, a number of questions came up that he offered responses to in the course of the vetting. There was a 10-minute break in the middle of the vetting session, after which the MPs came back and continued interviewing him. A number of issues came up. First of all, there were suggestions from some of the members of the appointment committee that unexplained wealth should be criminalized. And Mr. Kissie Jabin, in response to the suggestion, agreed that when people are unable to explain what sort of wealth that they have, one way or the other, some form of criminality should be associated with it, and the burden of proof be placed on themselves to then show that they got the money genuinely. And that's one of the proposals that's actually coming up in terms of how the country can help fight corruption. Not just that, there's been a conversation around how he would go about his work, and he made the point at the sitting of the committee that his conscience and his learning of the law is what exactly will be his guide. He was asked about how he feels stepping into the big shoes of Martin Amidu, who is actually the person who is kind of handing over to him and who resigned based on whether that particular slot became vacant. And to quote Mr. Jabin, he made the point that he is coming in his own shoes, and he hopes to work according to his conscience and according to his understanding of the law in order to get the work done. There's also been some questions to him about how he's going to tackle corruption generally. And to quote Mr. Jabin, he says he will make corruption a very costly activity as special prosecutor. He makes the point that it wouldn't be possible to stop corruption because then it's linked to human attitude and all of that. But he is hoping to do his part in terms of making it a very costly endeavor for public officials and private individuals who engage in some of these corrupt acts. And he made the point that he will be introducing what he describes as progress. He calls it pressure for progress. It's one of the things that he says he will be introducing to ensure that the fight against corruption goes on unimpeded. He says that there will be a systemic review of various public sectors, and there will be the publication of a perception index for public institutions as far as how they're able to deal with issues of corruption are concerned. And that's one of the mechanisms that he says he'll be introducing as a way to deal with corruption. He announced that there will be the creation of 2 more divisions at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, also to help them deal with the fight against corruption. There were questions to him about Martin Amidu in one of his epistles, linking him to the Ejapa deal. And he made the point that he knows nothing about the Ejapa deal. He says that Martin Amidu's description of his appointment as one having to do with family and friends, and claims by Mr. Martin Amidu that he's a surrogate for some other high power, is something that's untrue, and that all these comments are being made by people who don't exactly know him. I shall just run you through 2 other things that he commented on. There was a question to him about his age, and claimed that he's too young to then be in the position to deal with issues having to do with corruption. He's only 43 years of age. He fought back on that and said that he's qualified to be president per the standards of the Constitution, and he's trained a number of lawyers, including members of parliament who serve today. And he makes the point that he's been at the front row in very high profile corruption cases in the country, and so he thinks he has the good experience, including all the years he served teaching criminal law, to be able to serve as special prosecutor. And he's been calling for the passage of a Corruption Practices Act to help deal with corruption in the country. He's been insisting that the ANAS principle, in terms of jumping on journalistic productions when it comes to investigative works, is something that he will continue to apply going forward in terms of dealing with corruption in the country. And he's also been expressing concern that there is a seeming conflict between the work of the Office of Special Prosecutor and the Attorney General, which he hopes will be fixed going forward. But essentially, he's been making the point to committee members that he's ready for the work, and he looks forward to helping the country deal with issues of corruption. But I've been engaging Chairman of the Appointment Committee, Jose Usu, a while ago, and he's been confirming that soon after the 4-hour vetting, the committee members met and they've decided that they are recommending Mr. Kissie Jabin to the plenary for the necessary approval to allow him to become the special prosecutor. So that report will go to the committee members in the next few days, from the committee members to the plenary in the next few days, and then we're expecting that the approval will be given, and then he'll be sworn in eventually by the president, so that then he can begin work and go ahead and act on the promises that he is giving to the committee members in terms of what he is hoping to do in order to help deal with the fight against corruption. Aisha.
Joseph Opoku Gakpo is our man in Parliament, and he's been updating us with what has been happening in Parliament. But Mr. Ejabeng himself has also dismissed claims by Matana Midu linking him to the Ejapa deal. You heard Gakpo elaborate on that question. He said the claims are being made from uninformed position. Listen.
You have been described in language that is not too palatable by the said former special prosecutor. Now, in it, he says that Mr. Kisi Ejabeng is a surrogate of a law firm. Then he goes on to further implicate you as one of the key architects of the botched Ejapa royalties transaction. Now, if you juxtapose these allegations with the role of special prosecutor as an entity that ought to be independent, you have your would-be predecessor, that is, if given the nod, describe you in such language. Honorable nominee, what is your take on this? Are you a surrogate of anybody?
Honorable Chair, then before I go on, there's one more disclosure that I have to make in respect of Honorable Member Bulsa North. I was actually the chairman at his wedding reception.
Chairman was right. That he almost said that yes, I do on your lips too.
Honorable Chair, if I may answer. Whoever says I'm a surrogate of a law firm or implicates me in the Ejapa transaction clearly does not know me. Because if you know me, you wouldn't make such allegations. And so all these things that came up, I took it as coming from uninformed positions. Because I was not involved in the Ejapa transaction in any form or manner, by any stretch of the imagination, however fertile. As for relationships, as I just disclosed, the fact that I was so close to you at some point in our lives will not give you, or you not give me a free pass because of that relationship. And that is why I'm here. And if there is a matter, I'm not going to say because I know one person or the other, I'm going to give the person a free pass. I certainly will investigate. But the truth of the matter ought to be told. I wasn't involved in the deal. I was nowhere near it. Indeed, until it started coming up, I didn't even know what it was.
He has also been responding to questions on his age. He says he's more than qualified for the position.
Honorable Chair, first, the age. I turned 43 years on 2nd July, a few weeks ago. I qualified to be the president of this republic. I am age mates with the president of the French Republic. Indeed, he should forgive me for saying this. I'm a year older than the Minister for Justice and Attorney General. We were mates at the University of Ghana and Ghana School of Law. He is the Minister for Justice and Attorney General. There's no question about his age. Why then throw issues about my age? In terms of experience, as I stated much earlier, I was called to the bar some 18 years ago. I qualified to sit on the Supreme Court of Ghana. Indeed, I'm 3 years past the qualification for Supreme Court. I have taught criminal law, especially in the University of Ghana, for 15 years, continuously. I see, if I'm not mistaken, some of my former students around this table. Honorable member for Ejuso is my former student. Honorable member for Medina is my former student. Honorable member for Kaaka Central, I was their TA in conflict of laws. These are the products of my experience. They are here, right here, for everyone to see. And, Honorable Chair, to anchor on that, I have had a front row, although I have not been a prosecutor, properly so-called. I have had a front row to landmark prosecutions in this country. As defense counsel, I have been engaged in some very landmark cases, including the Tagore case, the Baglaskanko case. I conducted them. Honorable Chair, when Tiger IPI and Arimia announced come up with their investigative pieces, I am the one who supervises, and I've been doing this for quite a while, supervises the collation of evidence and all that for presentation to the Attorney General. Without me, the Attorney General's office will be poorer in terms of those prosecutions. So I can go on and on, but my experience is out there. And going beyond this committee to the bigger house, I think the honorable member for Old Tafu was also my former student. My experience is out there. It's on record.
Let's cross over to Parliament once again because Chairman of the Appointments Committee is briefing the media.
Whatever recommendations that are permissible under the rules can be made by a committee. But whether the House accepts or not, the recommendation depends on the House. There is the Parliament Act, which regulates what kind of punishment can be enforced if a member is charged with contempt or abuse of privilege. Yes, so it's the law that will determine what we can do.
Some have predicted it's likely to amount to nothing because you've seen it before, him being summoned to the Privileges Committee, the hearing being done and nothing happened. For those who hold such a position, what will you say to them?
Nothing. That's their prediction. That's their view. It's always, people are entitled to speculate on any matter. But what we will do, will come, whatever conclusions we come to, will be put before the House.
Is that not?
It's not open to me to assume that the House will deal with my report this way or that way.
Chairman, even before the third continual comes in.
The Speaker, in respect of any such thing, the committee does not take on any matter on its own. A committee is a committee of the House, and the committee of the House may deal with matters that are referred to it by Mr. Speaker. So we are on our own, cannot take on any matter. If anybody has any issue, he will petition Mr. Speaker, and then if Mr. Speaker considers it worth investigating, he will refer it to the committee.
But if witnesses decide to adduce that as part of their evidence or their cases against the alleged contempt, no, they probably are allowed to do that.
Well, there's a matter before us. If there's evidence that will assist whoever, the petitioner, to prove his point, why not? But it doesn't add additional value. The same one petition that is before us, and that is what we're dealing with.
I'll quickly move on to this. What happens next now that you are done with his verdict?
The same is before the House, for the House to determine approval or disapproval of our recommendation.
Did he answer the questions to your expectations as far as today's session is concerned?
What were your own observations? My committee's view is simply to recommend the House to approve the nomination or not. As to how other people value or view his answers, I'd rather leave it to them. I just stay within the rules and just make recommendations to the House.
We know you met in camera soon after. Has he been recommended by the committee for the necessary approval?
Yes, the committee unanimously agreed to recommend him to the House for approval.
Bank of Ghana, collapse of banks, beyond when the Bank of Ghana refused to turn up the last time they invited them for a session.
We have since had one meeting and written to them that we still want them to appear. Indeed, we're supposed to meet today and hope that they will appear before the committee.
Do you get the sense they've changed their position as against what their lawyers wrote to you earlier?
Sense or otherwise is perception, it's speculation. We wrote to them to appear, so I'll find the fact when the meeting convenes.
And there are likely to be other meetings eventually.
Why moving me into the realm of speculation? I'm not going to speculate. When the time is up, I'll be there. Well, my dream is there. Maybe I'll say you the pay free.
And joining me via Zoom for a conversation on this is Justice Remsai. He's a law lecturer. Later, Adam Senanu, who is also an anti-corruption campaigner, will be joining in this conversation. I'm grateful for your time, Counsel. But before we get into this conversation, I would like us to listen to the Special Prosecutor nominee who's been talking about his role and that of the Office of the Attorney General.
It's mandate directly from Article 88 of the Constitution, and that article is the one that vests the prosecutorial powers of the state in an Attorney General. Now, do you envisage a situation whereby the functions of the special prosecutor would conflict with the functions of the Attorney General, given the fact that these are functions largely derived from the constitutional powers bestowed on the Attorney General?
Initially, I would like to believe, Honorable Chair, that when this process started, you could tell that there was a clear and happy friction as to how it was going to go. And so some of us even pointed out to the then Attorney General, informally then, actually, that, I mean, as a lecturer of criminal law, when you see some of these things, you would have to tell those in authority as to how things should properly go. There was a concern of this friction between the Attorney General and the OSP under Act 959 because of the way Article 88 has been couched. Because it gives all prosecutorial powers to the Attorney General, but then, by way of delegation, the Attorney General can delegate a person or institution to carry on prosecutions. So what the draftsman did in Act 959 is a sort of taking that discretion under Article 88 from the Attorney General, putting it in Act 959 and saying that the OSP can prosecute on the authority of the Attorney General. It is stated in the Act. And so by that formulation, from the onset in the Act, the OSP already has the authority of the Attorney General because Parliament has said so. But that will not end the story if more delineation is not done. So it appears tenuously, but the draftsman also tried to do something in Act 959 by specifying the offenses the OSP can investigate, can initiate, and conduct prosecutions in respect of. That is corruption and corruption-related offenses. There is a problematic one, the last one, which says existent offenses in relation to corruption and corruption-related offenses. It's problematic because if it is not well thought through, then a lot of friction could arise there. The reason is simple. There are two main forms of offenses that may arise in this regard. One, we have what we call predicate offenses. With predicate offenses, these are offenses which forms component parts of a bigger offense. And so if the OSP is prosecuting an offense, but its component is not clearly delineated in the Act, in Act 959, and it is in the province of the Attorney General, some friction may arise there. And then the other form of offenses I would refer to as antecedent offenses. Let me give an example of the first one, the predicate offenses. For instance, corruption as an offense could have a predicate offense like money laundering. But money laundering is not specifically stated in Act 959. So the OSP can then go to the umbrella and say, okay, these are existent offenses that arise or are consequent upon corruption. There, the Attorney General could also say, look, money laundering is my province and not yours. That is what I mean. Then in respect of the antecedent offenses, these are offenses that are committed before a major offense itself is committed. For instance, if we take the offense of dishonest receiving under Act 29, something must have occurred before someone receives or disposes of property. That is to say, if you are dishonestly receiving, property that is the proceeds of a crime. It means a crime must have already been committed in respect of that property or funds for which you dishonestly received. If the antecedent offense has not been committed, you do not come in charging someone with dishonestly receiving. And in respect of the antecedent offenses, problems of friction could also arise in respect of the Attorney General. But I see that Draftsman also tried to do something under Act 959. He said, the OSP, within 30 days after the end of the proceedings, should inform the Attorney General as to the case, its outcome, and all.
Let's bring in Justice Shremsai. He is a law lecturer at GIMPA. Mr. Shremsai, the special prosecutor was emphatic that a number of provisions in our constitution, if not checked, could create problems. And he specifically mentions Article 88, which spells out the mandate of the Attorney General. What are the challenges with Article 88? Do you know?
Yeah, thank you very much. And first of all, let me congratulate my former lecturer, Mr. Kisei Jambin, for his forthrightness during the interview. And this is a point which we have made time and again when the legislation was being, debated and passed, that there is no quick fix to the problem that is created under Article 88.4. There is only one definite solution to that problem, is to carry out a constitution amendment which will hive off the prosecutorial powers from the office of from the Minister of Minister of State so that we can have an independent, because don't forget that the reason for all these discussions about getting a special prosecutor is about the independence. And so long as that authority is in the Constitution as authority of the Attorney General, who is also a Minister of State, you cannot have an independent special prosecutor. And a lot of discussion have gone on in academia, and I have been, a part of some of these discussions. When we try as much as possible to convince the power holders at the time, the decision makers at the time, that there is no quick fix to this problem. There is only one long haul. You need to amend Article 88. And this is not the first time. You see, sometimes we need to focus, we need to go back to history to be able to understand some of these things. The Office of the Attorney General, it is not the case that that office has always been under the government or the executive authority. In, I think, 1957 Constitution of Ghana, and I think the 1969, one of the two constitutions, the Office of Attorney General was actually an independent office as any public office, which was independent of the executive power. So it was in subsequent constitutions that the office was joined together with the executive, and therefore becoming a sub office of the executive power of state. So we were proposing at the time that we could go back to the 1957 position, because that is what Ghanaians said they wanted. Because when you read the CRC report, Ghanaians were definite. And the problem was that since the beginning of the Fourth Republic, you only find a situation where
All right. I think we're losing Justice from side there. We'll try and bring him back because he's making very important points over there. But thankfully, Adam Senano, who is an anti-corruption campaigner, has also joined the discussion. And as we try to get Justice from side to join, let me bring you in, Adam Senano. After listening to the special prosecutor nominee at the vetting, are you rest assured that Kisia Jabing is the man for the job? Hello, Mr. Senano. If you can hear me, I'm asking if after the vetting, you still think Kisia Jabing has what it takes to do the job. Okay, so as we try to get Adam Senano to get back on, let's listen to Kisia Jabing, who's been speaking about his plans to make corruption activities costly for public officials.
My strategy is that I'm not naive to assume that I'm coming to stop corruption. There is no way I can stop corruption. God himself will not even acclaim to that. But I am going to make corruption very costly, very, very costly to engage in terms of conflict of interest.
Chairman, he has just said that he'll make corruption costly, high-risk activity. How do you intend to work that?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Honorable Chair, first, I'm going to institute what I call pressure for progress. And in this quest, there will be a systemic review of all public agencies.
What was the word you...
I said I have termed it pressure for progress.
Pressure for progress.
Yes.
Very well. I thought it was a Latin word you spoke. I didn't get it out.
I'm going to institute systemic reviews of public sector institutions and the development of integrity plans. And here, this is what I intend to do. Why can't we have our own corruption perceptions index, for instance? Why can't I rank public sector agencies against each other? And at the end of the year, publicize the results as to which institution is performing well and which institution is not performing well. In that quest, if you are head of an institution and persistently your institution is drawing the short straw in terms of the perception of corruption from the point of view of experts, from the point of view of business people, you will set up.
Let's go back on the line and speak with Justice Tremsai, who's been explaining to us why there may be a very critical reason why Article 88 should be amended or reviewed. Justice Tremsai, you were making the point. Okay, I think the line has dropped. Justice Tremsai, can you hear me? Hello, Justice Sai. Okay, I think we've lost him briefly. We'll try and get him back on the line because this is a very important conversation we must have. But Adam Senanu, thankfully, is back via Zoom. Mr. Senanu, I was asking you, after listening to Kessie Jabing at the vetting, do you still think, or are you rest assured that he's a man for the job?
To him, so I'm trying to catch up. But I mean, I think that everybody should be given their day. At this point, if the parliamentary caucus are so inclined, we are just, I'll put it this way, that we will just have to live to see what he's able to deliver. And we pray that Ghana will be the better for it. So I haven't listened to what he said, but if he gets the nod, I think we should all just support him to try and get the best results for Ghana. Okay,
so he specifically assured Ghanaians that he will make corruption a costly activity for public officials if given the nod. How does this strike you?
Well, it's the kind of thing that we ought to have been doing throughout the years, because we've not had as many prosecutions leading to judgments and rulings and sanctions where people are penalized, demanded to pay back with interest. It's kind of made it easy for people to think that, look, we can continue business as usual, rape the purse of government and the state, engage in corruption with impunity, and we don't expect that anything very punitive will happen to us. So if he is able to do that kind of job where he doesn't just do a lot of paperwork, but prosecutions happen, there's the rules that rulings are made where people are found culpable and monies are retrieved, people are sent to jail. Gradually, especially if that information is put in the public space for others to see that this is what is going on, it will set the precedent and serve as a deterrent for others to want to engage in. And yes, that will make it costly for people who want to engage in corruption.
Mr. Senano, you have admitted right on this channel that fighting corruption is really not that easy as people may look at it to be or may see it to be, because whilst you're fighting corruption, corruption will fight you back. Per his own assessments, I'm talking about Mr. Kessie Jabing, what will be your expectation of the special prosecutor?
I think that he's got to have a mindset that, look, even those who have supported me in this process are likely to be people who one way, directly or indirectly, might be found as people or persons linked to some of the cases I'm going to handle, and to prepare himself emotionally and otherwise, mentally, to deal with these facts as they come up to him, because that's actually what we find in our space. He's going to be a lot more innovative, and his personal, how do I put it, interpersonal skills in trying to get collaboration from the other security agencies will be very important to the speed with which he will to investigate and get cases finalized. So we expect someone who will work assiduously, collaboratively with other security agencies to uncover any rot that has occurred. We expect someone who come up with new strategies, and I gather he's mentioned one or two, in order to serve as a deterrent. And I'm expecting someone who will not shy away from putting out in the public space his findings in a more timely manner, not wait 6, 9 months, 1 year before we start hearing about issues. That does not serve the purpose of setting a high standard that will make people know that this is a slippery slope to engage in. So much more forthright, much more speedy information to let us know the state and the progress of cases he chooses to handle.
Right. Thankfully, Justice Remsai is back on the line. Justice Remsai, you were talking about the challenges we've had with this Article 88.
Yes, Aisha, the point I was making is this. There is something called the hierarchy of norms, which rank laws in every state. And you would agree that the Constitution is the supreme law of Ghana. And then the Constitution is followed by acts of parliament and then by subsidiary legislation in that order. Now, if there is a problem in a Constitution which needs to be amended, you do not solve that problem by making an act of parliament to go around it. And I am particularly happy that there's a nominee, the special prosecutor nominee, has admitted openly and quite correctly that that is going to be one of the challenges to face. I mean, he's an expert in criminal law and prosecution, and he knows that if he's prosecuting a case, one of the defenses that may come when he is far advanced in the prosecution is that he does not have the power, or the power he is purporting to exercise is not legitimate. And he made a point, which we need to note. The point was that the law gives, the Constitution gives the Attorney General the power, the discretion to delegate. Parliament, by making an act, cannot purport to be exercising that delegation or that discretion on behalf of the Attorney General. So these are some of the questions that may be hanging and awaiting any prosecution in the future. And I believe that we need to really look at this if we are really serious about the fight against corruption. My other colleague who just spoke told you that fighting corruption is not something that you can do when you are not ready. Because corruption, as has been said, will fight you back. And one way of fighting you back is when you yourself have made some of these mistakes in your process. So I believe that, we can start something, but while going on with the Special Office of the Special Prosecutor as created by this legislation, we could still be looking at a more enduring, a more durable solution, which is the decoupling of the prosecutorial powers of the Attorney General. And I was mentioned, I don't know whether that point was captured when the line dropped. It has not always been the case that prosecutorial power has been part of executive power. I think in the 1957 Constitution, or either 1957 or the 1960 Constitution, the Office of the Attorney General, was an independent office, a public office, and the Attorney General was only accountable to Parliament and not to the executive. You understand? So it is not as if we have not been where we want to go before. We have actually been there before. It's just a matter of bringing the past back, and that problem will be solved. I mean, when you read the CRC report, you will notice that across the country, length and breadth and everywhere, Ghanaians are really worried about this problem where corruption happens in government and nobody gets punished unless the people who are in government leave, and then the people leave power and then the new government comes. People were worried because if you want the law to be what we call rule of law, fairness of application of law, evenness of the law's hand, and all the things that we talk about when we say rule of law, then it means that people who your being in government should not matter. That should not matter when it comes to criminal prosecution. So it is actually a great problem that we have, which we must tackle with all the strength in us. And I'm happy that at least even from the Office of the Special Prosecutor himself, he has pointed out some of this direction. And he actually was one of the people who stood firm and actually criticized this legislation from actually coming to effect. and suggested that a more durable solution was always the constitutional amendment. So I look forward that when it's not too late, it's something that we can build consensus about, we can have consultation about, we can consult broadly and agree that, look, corruption is a big problem. And then everything that we need to do, including amending the constitution to ensure that we fight it and fight it strongly, should be done.
Justice, I'm happy that you talk about a more durable solution. For you, what would be a more durable solution to this challenge, the challenges you've enumerated? I'm talking about in what form you think this review should be.
Yeah, so in this case, I join not only the nominee, the special prosecutor nominee, but also all the scholars who have called for such, and that recommendation is clear and emphatic that to be able to ensure and guarantee the independence of the special prosecutor or prosecution of public offences, the prosecutorial power of the Attorney General should be hived off from that of the executive, so that there will be that power, whoever holds that power to prosecute, will be completely independent at the constitutional level from the president. And that is what we mean by amending Article 88.4 to separate that power from the executive.
I'm grateful for your time. Adam Senano is still on. Adam Senano, when Kisei Ajabin was asked whether he will be able to fit into the shoes of Martin Amido, the response he gave was that he's coming in with his own shoes. For you, what would be the first step you would like to see him take in the event he's given the nod, considering the challenges we've had with the Special Prosecutor's Office?
Well, I think that it will be important to give us a status report baseline. I just got in. These are the number of cases that the office had picked up in the last tenure. This is the status of these cases. Let's all understand the point at which he comes in, and it will serve as a reference for the old cases and the new cases he might take on board. So we need a status report. That office, by law, is supposed to have given us feedback every 6 months, and ideally should even have been doing much better than the 6 months. So a status report on what cases had been picked up, what levels of investigations have been done, if there are some in court, what stages they are in, and then what he intends to do about those cases would be a good place for us to start from. And then probably lay out what additional things in terms of cases, in terms of strategies, he's going to take. Some kind of press conference, press release at some point, giving us an update, will begin to assure us that he's ready to start work and to do so assiduously. But having said that, I also want to add my voice to justice and many of us in this space who would like to see a revamped constitution. This is not the only area where there are limitations that impinge on the development of the nation. And I think it's about time, like Kenya and other jurisdictions, we took the issue of a new or revamped constitution very, very seriously. It is the only way to ensure that the influence or excessive powers of the executive that we see, the political elite who are seemingly taking up the middle ground, can be dealt with comprehensively and allow competency for persons who are appointed to these offices and the experience to be brought fully to bear on the tasks that they are given to do on behalf of the people of Ghana.
I'm extremely grateful for your time, Adam Senano, and I wish you a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
And earlier you heard Justice Remsai, who also spoke in this whole conversation. I'm grateful, gentlemen, that you were able to join us on the Pulse. Still to come, the newly appointed acting IGP, Dr. George Akuffo-Dampare, gets set to take up his new role, but there's been show of confidence. His team leadership spirit and affability, which many say will enable him excel as a substantive IGP. We're back with more on the Pulse. Welcome back to The Pulse. For the rest of our stories, a family of murdered social activists at Ejura says they have low expectations of the committee set up to probe disturbances that rocked the town. The death of Ibrahim Mohammed, also known as Kaaka, sparked disturbances leading to the killing of 2 people and injury of 6 others in June this year. A 3-member committee set up by the Interior Minister to probe the disturbances in Ejura is expected to present its report to the government after 12 days of public sitting. But the family of the slain activist told the Interior of our security desk they expect less from the committee's report.
The murder of Kaaka by unknown assailants on June 26, 2021 sparked further disturbances in the Ejura township. 2 people were killed in cold blood as irate youth protested the murder of Kaaka, who was ambushed and attacked as he entered his Ejura Dagomba Line family house. The family of the slain fashion designer was among 22 witnesses who appeared before the Justice Kumsin Committee. The family had earlier announced a boycott of the committee's sitting, saying it lacked focus. The family insists it is disappointed with the committee's work. The family has less expectations of the outcome of the committee's report. Nafiu Mohammed is the spokesperson.
We are actually disappointed based on the letter given to us, served by the Interior Minister. You realize that it was only talking about the circumstances that led to the shooting on the 29th. The murder of my brother is not part of their framework. It's not part of their work. But since there was a discussion within the limit of the Traditional Council and the Zongo chiefs for us to attend, we did attend. And we also testified to the limit of the family. Our expectation is less, since the framework of the committee has categorically says what they are in for. So our family, we don't know, since we are not part of the investigation. We don't know what the committee's report will come to vindicate us or to say something otherwise about us. So we are waiting still to see what the committee will bring out. At least the wife of Kaaka and the children will be taken care of. That's what we know. For sure, that is the expectation of the family.
Nonetheless, the family says any financial compensation for the wife and children of the slain activists will be welcomed. Whilst crying for justice for victims, it warns security operatives found to have misconducted themselves during the disturbances punished.
We are only seeking justice for those souls that have been lost and those injured. My junior brother who has been amputated, and the other guy who has a bullet through his spine, who is still at Konfanochi, we need justice for them. Kaaka's children also need justice, because I know it is the committee that will recommend any benefit. We are not interested in the monetary aspect of it. The value of Kaaka's life is more to even any money you give it to us. Up to now, if we are not getting any help, we can still take care of the children. Only what we are seeking is justice for those children, those affected. Everybody has to be brought to book. You cannot just come face civilians who are unarmed. Any police, any military man should say that there was a shot from the crowd. It's quite disgusting, because there is no any video evidence showing that. For those military men who shot, actually they know those who shot, but by the description and the video Erastus brought out, there are people who aimed to the crowd to shoot. So those who shot, let's identify them, let's punish them.
Meanwhile, 3 suspects arrested in connection with the murder of Ibrahim Mohammed are expected to make their second appearance in court on Thursday. Fuseni Alasa Ebucha, Ibrahim Isaka, also known as Enyas, and Idi Mohammed, also known as Choboros, ticket seller and blacksmith respectively, were remanded into police custody on July 2, 2021. From Kumasi, for JoyNews, JoyNews reporting.
Meanwhile, the Soka District Court in the Ashanti region has adjourned to August 12, 2021, the case in which 3 suspects are standing trial over the killing of social activist Ibrahim Mohammed in Ijura. They were slapped with 2 charges: conspiracy to commit crime and murder. Joining me via Zoom is Ohemeng Teria with updates from Ijura. Ohemeng, tell us more. Why were they handed these charges?
Aisha, the charges came up in the first court appearance when the 3 accused persons did appear before the Asokwa District Court. Actually, the prosecution, led by Chief Superintendent Kofi Blaguji, told the court the chilly account in which the late social activist Kaaka was murdered in a jar in cold blast whilst entering his house in the Dagomba line residence. So the prosecutor told the court that the 2 were being charged for conspiracy to commit crime and murder, contrary to Section 46 of the Criminal Offences Act, that is Act 29 of 1960. So today, when the 3 appeared before the Asokwa District Court, the prosecutor asked the court or prayed the court to remand the accused persons into police custody to enable police continue with the investigations. This was the first time the accused persons, one of them, Idi Mohammed, whom we are told is a senior brother of the late Ibrahim Mohammed, also known as Kaaka, had a legal representation in court in the person of Setu Chinam, Anograti of Anograti and Associates. The counsel introduced herself as the counsel for the accused person, the 3rd accused person. But though prosecutor asked for a remand for the 3 suspects, the counsel did not oppose to the plea of the prosecutor. But the court then remanded the accused person to reappear on August 12, 2021.
How's the family of Ibrahim Mohammed, I mean, Kaaka Macho I'm talking about, how is the family reacting to this charges handed to the suspects? Are they happy?
Throughout my engagement with the family, they have indicated the innocence of their relative. I'm talking about Idi Mohammed. They think that, you know, the people who have been accusing Idi Mohammed have just been fabricating stories just to, you know, implicate the elder brother of the deceased in this case. So for them, they know that, or they believe that their relative is innocent, and at the appropriate time, he could be discharged by the court. But then they also promised to get him a solicitor, a counsel who will, you know, intercede on his behalf in court. And when the court proceedings started in court, the counsel did introduce as the counsel for the 3rd accused person. This notwithstanding, the law firm had on the 21st July written to court to introduce the law firm as the representative for the 3rd accused person. So for the family, they believe that yes, their relative is being prosecuted based on what they say are people's fabrication, and they know very well that at the right time, he will be discharged and prove innocence.
Ohemeng Teria is a man who's been following the Ijura disturbance and subsequent court proceedings of the 3 suspects. We have more in our subsequent bulletins on this one. Retired Superintendent of Police and former Executive Secretary to the IGP, Peter Tobu, says the team leadership spirit and affability of the newly appointed acting IGP, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, will enable him excel as a substantive IGP. Mr. Tobu believes with respect to boosting the morale of the police force and inspiring personnel to upgrade themselves professionally, Dr. Dampare Dampari's appointment resonates with expectations of the officers he will be working with. President Akufo-Addo issued a statement yesterday announcing the appointment of COP Dampari as acting IGP. He is to take over from James Opon-Bueno, who begins his terminal leave on August 1. Peter Tobu, a retired senior police officer, is one of the officers who worked with him closely.
This is not about being a fine gentleman. If you can explore the advantages associated to your fineness, your gentility, to inspire the system, to motivate and let the morale be high, that is where you begin to perform. But if it's just all about being a fine gentleman, it doesn't work like that in security. Sometimes you just have to be rough. Sometimes you have to be tough. It depends upon who you are, reading and understanding the circumstances surrounding the security situation in the country. As we speak today, we are looking for an IGP who will come and say, yes, I understand that violent crime has become a challenge. I understand that crowd control and management has become a challenge. I understand that military role in Ghana security is becoming a challenge. I do also understand that the morale of the Ghana Police Service has dropped to a level unacceptable. So if you understand all these things, what can you do to rectify? What can you do to motivate the men and women in uniform? But for Dr. Dampari, the young constable, the young corporal, the young sergeant, the young inspector sees themselves in him because he's been a constable before. He moved from constable to the top and he's become the acting IGP. So the constable see him as their colleague, the sergeant see him as their colleague, the inspector see him as one of them. Also, people who believe that education is important to bring policing to another level because policing has become a science now. People who believe that they want to do their masters, they want to do a PhD, they want to do a first degree, they want to do some professional courses to enhance their capacity. They see themselves in Dr. Dampari because he's an academician and also he's a professional police officer. So if you blend the two, all I always say is that he should be able to assemble a team of people who understand his vision and support him to achieve it. It's all about teamwork. You can be the best person in the police service. If you're appointed by the president as an IGP and you can't assemble the best team, you are bound to fail. The best team working to support the best IGP, Ghana will be a very peaceful place.
Can he assemble the best team to do this job?
If you and I talking to the people listening to us now, if the president who appointed him, if the politicians who are in the system will say, we know your capability and we know that you know the people who you can work with and you know all the commissioners who are with you, you know all the deputy commissioners, their capacities and capabilities, you know all the assistant commissioners, please have a free hand, put your team together and let's give it 6 months to see what you can do. If we are able to give him that free hand to assemble his team, I don't have any doubt that he will put square pegs in square holes, round pegs in round holes, and the security of this country, very particularly the internal security, will turn for the good.
There are those who also say that because a person is appointed in an acting capacity, they don't have the room to do their job as they would have if they were appointed substantive, in a more substantive, you know, with all the windows shut. With your experience, as you work very closely with a former IGP, is there a difference if you're acting or if you have the title totally to yourself?
Thank you very much. I think one of the things that I've never liked and I will never like is an acting position. Acting position is always suicidal because you don't have the muzzle. You are acting, and in fact, there is history to guide us. Madam Mills Robertson was an acting IGP. She was finally not confirmed, and somebody else was appointed. So the fact that you are acting, you don't have the muzzle to do what you want to do. But I think that is just procedure that he acts pending the phasing out of the current IGP, Mr. James Opon-Bueno. After that, we expect the president to confirm him immediately, because confirming him will give him the muzzle to be able to stand as Inspector General of Police. Because police is command and control, and it's a unitary command. The command rests with the Inspector General of Police. He should have the power, he should have the authority. And that authority doesn't come so much with an acting position. So let's trust the president that in this phasing out period, when Mr. James Opon-Bueno faces out of office, Dr. Dampari will be confirmed so that he will have what it takes to assemble his team and put them to work. And within a period of time, we'll be able to see what the security of Ghana looks like, because everybody is talking about the security challenges. And without security, we can't have development. Let's all give him the maximum support.
Superintendent Peter Tobu there. Security expert Professor Kwesi Enin believes COP Dampari is capable of bringing the much-desired transformation with the service.
It's right for the time, he's prepared, he's thought through what he will do as an IG, he's trained people at multiple levels, he's held different appointments, and he's got the guts to deal with anyone who crosses the line. That is what I like about him. For him, this is not a cushy job where he's going to be polite and friendly to people because they gave him a job. I think those who gave him this job know that the service is rotten to the core and that they want an IGP who, as a commissioner of police on the Spintex Road, when there's traffic, when people misuse their sirens, he pulled them over and told them to get back into the queue. Okay, he did these things when it could have risked the possibility of his promotion. So this is an officer who knows that the institutional ethos and the culture of the police service goes against the very grain of his upbringing, of his academic training, and the vision that he has for the service, and has throughout his professional career worked hard to ensure that he could marry a sense of professionalism with a duty of care, but more importantly also with taking the decisions, the operational decisions when necessary, but also being on the front line with his men and women, so that he doesn't take those decisions, sits in the office or goes to sleep, and then expects to receive a report the next morning. He has a hands-on approach to doing policing, and I'm looking forward to our partnership and our collaboration. And I think he has broad shoulders enough to accept the criticisms that certainly will come from Adam and I.
Well, some Ghanaians have been sharing their expectations on the appointment of COP George Dampare as the acting police boss.
We will be expecting a lot from the IGP, because looking at the country, security is very important. To live freely, to live happily, all depends on the security. So we would like the IGP to improve enforcement so that everybody, the citizens will be free, live comfortably. Because walking on the road, we will be afraid maybe somebody can come to you and attack you. That's not a freedom. So as our code of the arm says, freedom and justice, we need that thing to happen in the country so that we can live freely. Even if somebody will come here and invest in the country, there must be a serious security. They can be happy, they can be proud, they can be bold in whatever they are doing.
What I'm expecting from the IGP is that he has to make sure the policemen are working according to the law. And also, they must also ensure that they are not favoritism. Okay, make sure they protect the citizens and also do not take money from drivers and also motor riders and stuff. They must make sure if they are offended, they let them face the law. Yes, that's what I'm expecting from the IGP.
Pertaining the new IGP elect, I believe is able and is capable. So I think he should try and fix all the mistakes that the predecessor did. Yeah, I think that's what I'm expecting. In terms of fixing the security system, yeah. The security system. Now, when you look at what is going on in the country, you see that the security system is totally gone. Yeah, so you should try and fix it. That's what I'm expecting him to do.
The IGP will get it very, very difficult this time, because this time the boys are very, very angry, and they are going to face him boot for boot. So I think he should strategize very, very well before coming out with strategies to deal with them.
Africa Health Holdings Limited has become the latest health service provider to sign on to the SafeCare Health Safety and Quality Standardization Program. The leader in the health service delivery industry with outlets in Ghana, Kenya and Nigeria is hoping to access standardized quality assessment and service delivery improvements for all facilities under its operations. This will help it show up efficiency in areas of sustainability and suitability within the space it operates. Manuel Cranting was at a short ceremony to sign off the agreement.
What it means is that an assessor goes to the facility and evaluates their processes, systems, structures, and procedures using the standards, which is measuring against the standards.
Country Manager of SafeCare, Bonifacia Benefueje, explaining how the SafeCare program works and its benefits to partners who sign onto it. This was at a short ceremony to sign on the Africa Health Holdings Company Limited as a subscriber to the program on Thursday. The program facilitates progress in the care delivery of healthcare providers by helping them measure, monitor, and improve their services using innovative solutions. Dr. Maxwell Entry is Country Manager of Farm Access, operators of the SafeCare program in Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, India, and Afghanistan.
Component is to then assess all the healthcare facilities within the network. Which one is star 1? Which one is star 2? Is there any in star 3 or 4 or 5? 5-star means internationally recognized level of care. So it's like the level of care you get when you step into University of Massachusetts Hospital. That's the level of care that you have if you have a 5-star rating within SafeCare. So all of them will be rated. Those who are below 4 and 5 and 3 and 1 will then be taken through a structured, stepwise quality improvement program. It is no use asking someone to jump from level 1 to level 5. But it might be more practical to jump from level 1 to level 2 and then from level 2 to level 3. So nobody fails a SafeCare assessment. It's not a pass or fail.
He also mentioned that assessors will categorize all AHH accredited facilities to match international standards.
A group of healthcare professionals within the African Health Holdings Limited network are going to be trained as internationally certified SafeCare assessors. And that's a very rigorous, I call it military-like training, where they are trained not to be inspectors and police, but they are trained to identify risk and also provide a hands-on capacity to address those risks. It is not enough to take an X-ray and show me my bone is broken when you cannot fix it. And that is what these assessors avoid. Not only do they take an X-ray and show you where the broken bone is, but they also hold your hands to help fix it.
For Sangodele, the CEO of Africa Health Holdings, the partnership with SafeCare will provide a platform for health facilities under its wings to benefit from the international quality standardization mechanisms.
It means that we are going to embark on a quality transformation journey, right? So that means that in all our facilities, there are going to be a number of different initiatives that are geared towards improving patient quality and patient safety. So it means that all the patients and the consumers who use our facilities in Ghana and Nigeria and Kenya can expect that as a result of this partnership with SafeCare, there will be a very clear, dramatic improvement in patient quality and safety in all our facilities.
Dr. Maxwell Enchi emphasized that successful implementation of the AHH SafeCare Quality Improvement Program will contribute to the overall growth of the health facilities in Ghana and abroad, while benefiting from such internationally acclaimed standardized healthcare delivery.
Up next on The Pulse is sports.
Thank you very much. You're still live here on Joy News and Joy Prime, as well as Joy Sports, and we're glad to have the company of the newly elected president of the Ghana Boxing Authority, Abraham Kotainikwe. Let's remember that he served previously as a vice president within the Peter Zwenes administration in the last 4 years. Also ahead of becoming an executive within professional boxing. He had played a role in amateur boxing as the president or the chairman of the Greater Accra Amateur Boxing Association, where he chalked many successes, continuing from where the late Gideon Quartey stopped with working on a long-running boxing league for amateur boxers. He's also done some work as a boxing manager as well and has written his own CV. Congratulations are in order.
Thank you, my brother.
Now let's go straight to the moment when you saw the ballot papers and the balance, and you saw that one that was in front of your polling agent was a lot more than your opponent.
I was just happy. I was just happy because I did a lot of work on the grounds, you know. All the stakeholders, I've been in touch with them, and they've seen what I've done so far for the past 4 years with Lawyer Peter Zwenis. I've been Lawyer Peter Zwenis back all the time. So they saw the work done, and then they've given me the mandate. Yes, yes.
So this win was something you were expecting, or you probably thought it was going to go, it was going to be tough?
No, I was expecting, you know, but when they were, I was expecting to stretch up a little bit, but I realized that Dr. Spain, who happens to be the first vice, I can't discredit him because he have done a lot in boxing. He was able to pull out, and then we get closer, and it's good. If you get closer and you win, it makes you a tough boxer, yeah.
I see. Now let's talk about the kind of message that you sent to the electoral college, because of which they affirmed you and gave you this big vote of confidence. What was the message?
Well, the message was simple. The people look at the time and the passion for the sport. You see, if you don't have time, you can't do boxing. So they look at my time. I told them, you know, my own son is a boxer. He's a juvenile boxer. So they realize that I'm part of boxing too much. So if they look at my passion and the time I have for them, you know, it convinced them. And I also brought a lot of things on board. You know, I'm supposed to come to your show, and I'll come this time, you see, because I have a lot of projects that I want to do. I told the coaches I'm going to introduce the pension scheme, and then the social security thing, and then the insurance to the boxers and other things. So I know it went down well with them, with my message, and then they are making the decision.
I see. Going forward into 4 years, what do you identify as the main challenge? And what would you identify as the first port of call when it comes to priorities? Because as we speak, Ghana doesn't have a world champion. But is that where you'd want to start from, or you'd want to start from the base?
Well, I don't have a board yet. We need to first set up our board. And then I don't know my charm of promotions. I don't know anything. I first have to go get the board first. Then I can decide on what to do. And I'm not going to work as an individual. I'm going to work as a team. So I first have to meet my board members. Then we can start the job.
In wrapping up all of this, I'd want to know where you place the work that you did in the previous administration led by Lawyer Peter Zwenis, how much you did together. Rate the work and rate how much has been done for the sport from that period till now.
No, we, Peter, have done a lot of things, you know. I don't want to sit here to discredit any chairman. The president, Samek Captain, did his own. Peter, too, have done his own. And I'm coming to do my own. I'm going to consult them. They are now my fathers, and I'm going to relate any information to them before I make decisions. So for now, I'm part of Peter Zwenis' board. So I can say we're almost 90% work done, you know, because I can't sit here and say Peter did not do anything. You know, Samek Captain did a lot. Moses Fuamweni also did a lot. We also did a lot. If you look at our Feast of Fury thing, the difference between Peter Zwenis and then Samek Captain is we include a juvenile and then amateur. So that's why I'm giving us 90% work done, yes. And I'm going to take it from there and I'll run with it.
And the final one is on your opponent. I mean, there was a very big show of sportsmanship here. And I mean, you have worked hand in hand and had to go apart in these past few months because of campaigning and sharing different messages with the boxing fraternity. You have said that he is already a part of your board. Can you tell us a bit more of what exactly you'd want to do with Dr. Henry Manley Spain, who was your opponent in this election?
Yeah, that is my vision, that Manley Spain should be in my board. I will also consult Peter Zwanis, Moses Fuamweni, and then Samer Captain on most of the decisions. But I'll be happy to have Manley Spain on my board because it's a very key in boxing. You know, I wouldn't like to go if, in case like I lost this, I wouldn't be happy to leave the sports. And the same thing, I just want, we'll talk to him. And you know, for now, I'm a politician. He's also a politician. For now, you know, you wait for some time and then you approach the man because it's a good product, yes.
Politics and sport, it mixes well?
Oh, yes.
From your experience?
Yes, yes. You just have to be disciplined. Yes.
Congratulations once again, and we look forward to seeing you do a lot more. And we're told that coming Sunday is your birthday as well.
Yes, yes. You just told me. Don't just.
You had forgotten your own birthday?
Because I'm doing campaign. And I'm going for an election. So you know, but don't just told me that Sunday is my birthday. I say, oh, okay, we are going to enjoy it.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Congratulations and enjoy yourself. And we're looking forward to seeing you get down to work and get running. The final message to Ghanaians as well.
I'm sorry I couldn't make it the last time to your program, and I know you invite me soon, and I'm going to be there. Yes.
And a final message to Ghanaians.
Yes, Ghana Boxing is going to take a new coach. Coach Nikwe is taking over from Lawyer Peter Zwanis. Ghanaians should expect new things because we have a new visions. Youth. We talk about the youth. We want to put in the youth ideas together and see what we can do to help Ghana Boxing.
Congratulations once again, and I'm grateful for your time. Well, so the newly elected president of the Ghana Boxing Authority, Abraham Kote Nikwe, he's promising a lot of inclusiveness and he wants to focus on the youth. Let's see how the next 4 years goes in Ghana Boxing. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.
And that's how we part company on The Pulse this afternoon. Log on to myjoyonline.com for more on the developing stories. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. I've indeed enjoyed my almost 2 hours stay with you. Let's talk showbiz. It's up next. Enjoy the rest of our programs.
Welcome to watching this particular channel. I know that yes, you are looking at a lot of things happening, yes, but we're bringing a lot of things and we're bringing a lot of exclusives. Well, today my exclusive is not going to be the normal exclusive that you've been having. Well, she is a huge entrepreneur, business mogul. She is Ghanaian. She has family here. She is here for family reasons, and also she's shooting here. Please, my element of surprise.
Oh, Charlie, thank you for having me. Did you like it?
Joy News, your most credible news source, is available on digital TV, Multi TV, DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144, and also streaming on myjoyonline.com.
Well, you're welcome to watching this particular channel. I know that, yes, you are looking at a lot of things happening. Yes, but we're bringing a lot of things and we're bringing a lot of exclusives. Well, today my exclusive is not going to be the normal exclusive that you've been having. Well, she is a Hollywood actress. She is a huge entrepreneur, business mogul. She is in Ghana. She is Ghanaian. She has family here. She is here for family reasons, and also she's shooting here in Ghana. Please, my element of surprise. Tanya, how are you doing?
Shelley, thank you for having me. Did I do that good?
Oh, yes, that was good.
Yes. You know what? It's so funny because now that I'm doing, you want to know what I miss the most now that it's post-COVID? The Ghana snap.
Okay.
Because no one's touching hands anymore. They're just doing this fist bump thing. I miss that. We do this because no one wants to touch hands. But welcome.
What Apostle COVID gave us, right?
I know, but I'm glad to be back.
Granting us this. So, this is it. Last year you weren't here.
No, I was not here for the year of the return. I was actually in Atlanta, so I'm based in Atlanta, as you know. So I missed it. But I feel like the opportunity is not lost. People think the year of the return, it was 1 year. The year of the return has just opened up the gates for people to come back, to explore Ghana, to continue to put down roots here and understand how beautiful Accra and the surrounding areas are. So the year of return continues.
Well, you heard about the year of return. You missed it. How was it feeling? You missing it?
I had FOMO. I was like, this is my home. This is my country. And I was like, all these people are here. I'm missing out. And I usually try to come home at Christmas. That's when everybody, all these expats, they try and come home. My father lives here. So I missed out.
Yes, I'm sure.
I hated to watch it. I can't front. I hated to watch it.
Now, one thing I've always been wanting to find out from someone like you who is in mainstream showbiz in Hollywood is what was actually the relevance of the year of return for you, the diasporans? Who couldn't make it? Who was there? Who have lived all your life there?
This was part of the thing. I think it was just being able to share the magic that's Ghana with the world. And this is what the beauty of social media, this is the beauty of film and having these creatives that are telling the stories of what we really experience when we come home. When we get to see our grandparents, our aunties, our uncles, we wouldn't do as, people who have Ghanaian roots because you're bringing friends, you're bringing family, and you want to show them the whole country. I mean, it's like, I grew up in Toronto. When you grow up in Toronto, you look at the CN Tower every day, you don't think twice about it. But when you bring your family there and you get to take them to Almina, and you get to experience it again through other people's eyes, that's a beautiful thing. Not just for people who have been here for the first time, but for those of us that have come many times, that live here, that are Ghanaians, that live abroad. It's beautiful, because there's so much in this culture to share and see.
You're Ghanaian?
Yes.
Everywhere you go.
My dad's a Ghana.
Your dad is gone?
Yeah.
You speak any Ghana?
No. Please don't fault me. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I blame my dad. I blame my dad and my mother. My mother's British. My dad is a guy. He was born in Accra, in Teshi, and then he served in the military. He went to Canada to go to med school. Around the time Kwame Nkrumah was sending, folks to be educated overseas with the hopes that they would come back. And they all settled all over, Canada, the U.S., Europe, etc. He married my mother, who was a nurse. She was British, and they started having kids. So I grew up in Canada. You're going to be one of three things: a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, or a failure, right? Have you ever heard this? This is how it is. And that was it. My dad was a doctor, so I had to go into some professional category. So I started my career, I was a nurse, a registered nurse. I worked in cancer, oncology for over 10 years. And I made this segue transition into startups and technology. I started investing and helping other people build their technology companies. And then I got this opportunity, and it was like, would you like to be on television? I said, no. Me? This goofy Canadian girl? People, no. But, I was drawn to the idea that maybe this was a way I could sort of be able to tell other people and portray to other people what it's like to be in technology, what it's like to show a different side of, a multicultural black woman on television that you don't typically see. And so I said, let me see, let me try it, let me take this chance. And I mean, it's an opportunity. See you on TV, thank you for representing Ghana. I can't believe you're a guy. And they'll message me and they'll be like, thank you so much. You've inspired me. You've helped to show, Ghanaian women, whether they know or they don't, and I think that's special.
I'm so having a difficult time wrapping my head around the fact that, okay, so this is someone who, the entrepreneur in the business part, is taking all her life, and just as she's able to make time for show business, because the Girl House of Atlanta is a full-time thing.
It is. Thank you for saying that. It totally is. It's very full-time, which is why I was only part-time.
Oh, okay.
I said, I have all these other things. This is my job. This is, what allows me to eat. I'll be on here part-time, which I think was a good combination for me because it means you can sort of have some balance. Because, you only have 24 hours a day. Everyone always says, how do you do all the things you do? And, especially for women, we always get asked this question. How do you make time for everything? You run a household, you run this, all of these things make it difficult, so you have to just pick and choose what you can do in your 24 hours of the day.
Wow, and you're sharing it evenly into these two things and other things.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's really, really good. But how about, I don't know if you've monitored the Ghanaian show The Space or show The Space.
Yes.
Well, you're shooting something.
Yeah, we're shooting something here. So at the top of this year, during COVID, I connected with a Ghanaian producer, Michael Daba, and he did a show that was here. It was called Making of a Mogul. Again, to motivate people on how they can create wealth and how they built these businesses. So he wanted to bring that show and programming to the United States. So I was hired as the host. We shot all these incredible entrepreneurs. And so now we're trying to tie this, the show from the US back to Ghana. And he's also here filming another movie, which is very incredible. It's called Single, Not Searching. You guys, they're filming it here in Ghana. It's been incredible. They were in Accra today. They're in Ada. Is it Ada? Ada yesterday.
Wait, hold on. Ada?
Guys.
Ada?
I'm not doing it right.
You are Ada?
Ada. I gotta go down. See, this is how I have to learn the language. Like, people have to be patient with me so I can get it. It's not that easy.
Yes, it's true. It is true. It's not that easy. But I'm sure with time, as you keep coming in and out of the country, I'm sure you'll be able to pick.
I'm dedicated.
Yeah.
I'm dedicated.
You have an indigenous name.
What? Kenya. Oh, you mean?
Yes, you have a Ghanaian name.
Yes, I do. What
is that? Nana
Pamfua.
Nana Pamfua. It sounds fancy.
I say it very Ebony. I'm sorry.
You say it too Ebony.
I know.
Ebony-ish.
Ebony. I'm half. You have to give me 50-50 credit.
50-50 credit.
50-50 credit.
Being able to do all these things.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What does Ghana mean to you?
I mean, Ghana is really home. And having grown up in Canada, with my dad and my grandparents always coming to visit. My dad is the oldest of 13. He was a doctor. He went to medical school. And so when I grew up, I had brothers and sisters that would come from Ghana. They would live in our house. They would go to school there. So we had the culture. We ate the food. We ate all of this. But it wasn't until I really got to come back and talking about Ghana, sharing our stories, and inviting people to come back to Ghana, put your feet on this soil, come to Accra, see everything, understand that. It's a belonging that you can't get unless you place your feet here. Spend some time here, understand the culture, and just enjoy. It's a beautiful thing.
Do you love music?
I love the music. I love to listen, that's in our blood. Ghanaians, we love to sing, we love to dance, we love to party. It doesn't matter how old you are. My dad is 83. I said last time I was back was his birthday, 80th birthday. And you know how it is. There's 300, 400 people at the house having this party. You have a pig, a goat, slaughtered, dancing, and the old people would be up until
to the crack of dawn. Do you follow the Ghanaian music space?
Yeah.
Favorite music singer you listen to?
Okay, my favorite right now. Oh, I just saw Kitty.
Okay.
Yes. I'm gonna do the dance. Should I do it? No. I won't sing because you'll kick me out of here.
No. Yeah, he's accommodating.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sing it. He's accommodating.
No.
If you don't get it well,
no. I will not do this to you people. But and I grew up listening to the oldies, Daddy Lumba.
Wow.
Yes, dancing at parties in the basement of our house, like Kojo Antwi, all these people that I remember, and I still can pop on and listen now. And then even what was the guy last time I was here, I was at the National Arts Center. We'd go to concerts there, so it's it's great. And the nice thing now is music is so much more universal. when I used to come, you'd have to come back and carry a CD or a tape. But now it's on Apple Music, and so our artists are everywhere. You can hear this music in Atlanta. You're having more African music from the diaspora that is becoming mainstream, and like whether it's Ghanaians or Nigerian music, like it's big. It's big. Like it's really cool that we're able to share that and people can enjoy our music. They understand it. They're like, oh, this high life now. I know. You know, it's good.
Amongst your friends, amongst the people you fraternize with, amongst your industry mates, is Ghanaian music a big deal?
There's a couple hits.
Okay.
Maybe not. You know, I will say there's a couple hits. Like trying to think of who has crossed over from Ghana. You know, some more Nigerian, I think they're getting a bit bigger, but there's been a couple hits that you'll hear on the radio and you're like, oh, this is, so I'm trying to share it more. Like even on my Instagram, I had, you know, like I was playing No Darling, Happy Day for these folks, and people love it, they just don't know how to find it. And so this is the thing, once we share it ourselves amongst it, and people say, what was that song you played? Then it sort of starts to trickle down. So I think this is